class. How are you? Okay, now we continue our chapter 4. Today we are going to teach and learn and teach the chapter 4. I'm going to teach you chapter 4. That is about teaching and learning grammar. Okay, look at the content. What you are going to study in this chapter are grammar learning must be meaningful. Transferring new grammar pattern to different topic show how successful pattern can be. Teachers shouldn't use new grammar pattern with the vocabulary students already know. Number 4, learning good basic vocabulary speed up grammar learning. Number 4, students should get lots of comprehension practice with new grammar. Number 6, most of the techniques in handbook for speaking comprehension writing can be used for grammar teaching. Number 7, students should use all 4 skills: listening, reading, speaking, and writing to practice grammar. Number 8, using declarative statement rather than interrogative question help students learn new grammar faster. And number 9, the last point is meaningful practice is much more important than presentation in learning and teaching grammar. Okay, please discuss the key principle. Grammar learning must be meaningful. Okay, there are 2 ways in this point. Is present about the 2 ways of making grammar meaningful, practice meaningful. The first is by challenging students to think, and the other is personalizing grammar. You will study in detail on the next slide. It will explain you more. Okay, A, challenging grammar to think. So, okay, this point is about grammar learning must be meaningful. So, grammar learning must be meaningful in 2 ways: challenging student to think and personalizing. So, the first point is challenging student to think. So, what does it mean, challenging student to think? Students are challenged to think by processing information in some way to keep the student attention and interest. So we can challenge the student to think about the grammar that we are going to teach them. Example, to elicit sentences with going to. There should be several for each situation. True. There is not necessary a correct sentence. Example, today you teach your student to learn. You teach your student about going to, the verb going to. So you can challenge your student to create some sentences that by using their own idea, by using their own sentences, and you ask them to apply the going to in different situation, different topic. Okay, this is the example only. John is in bed. Okay, he is awake. He's awake. He's hungry. So this is the guide that you have to think about the grammar. So if he is hungry, what is he going to do? The response will be he is going to get up, he is going to get dressed, and he is going to have breakfast. This is just sample. of challenging your student to think about the grammar you are going to teach them. Example, teach about going to. Okay, this is example 2. Okay, Peter and Sue are in love. Okay, they have good job. Sue parent like, but they want to have children. So what are they going to do? The response will be what? They are going to get married. They are going to be happy. Okay, one more by personalizing grammar teaching. So you can make your grammar meaningful by personalizing the grammar. Okay, the grammar item is personalized for student by using it to understand and express information related to their own knowledge and experience. So you can personalize the grammar point after you challenge your student to think. You can the presentation, tell them what is the form of the grammar, what is the use of the grammar. Okay, by giving the information or expression or example that related to their knowledge and experience. So do not try to express or provide them the example that is difficult for them to understand. Okay, number 2. Transferring new grammar pattern to different topic show how useful pattern can be. So when we teach the grammars, do not just show only one topic. A grammar should not be associated with only one topic. You must provide them the you must personalize the pattern in the most useful form. Transfer, you can use different topic to explain them. Grammar teacher and student use the new grammar pattern with different topic to show how useful it is for the student. So if you provide them the different topics in using the grammar points, so they can understand and they know what is useful of the grammar. Personalizing the pattern is the most useful form of transfer. Yes, personalizing is the you present the grammar form you use, example like that. Students need to meet a lot of example sentences for each grammar item. Yes. So provide some example for your students so they can understand. B. Teacher practice making a lot of example sentences. So you try to make different sentences in different form and different topics for your student. Student pre-use sentence for each other to use. So after personalizing the grammar, so you can ask your student to practice to produce the sentence by using their own idea. Many contexts make meaning clearer. So you can provide a short text for them to learn to read. So when they read the text that contain the grammar that you are teaching, so they can understand clearly. Concept question check understanding. So we can use this technique to ask your student understanding. Concept check can concept question can check if the student understands the meaning of the target grammar pattern. student can respond to the teacher concept question so that they understand. If we ask them the question, we use the technique concept check question, the concept question check. So if they can respond immediately, understand the point that we are teaching them. Okay, number 3. Teacher should introduce new grammar pattern with vocabulary student already learn. So in unit 3, in chapter 3, you learn already that you should not teach new grammar and new vocab at the same time. So if the grammar new and the vocab is new, so your student will understand. So when we provide the example, when we use the example, in the grammar pattern, we have to use the vocab that student already learned so they can understand the grammar easily. The same is also true for vocabulary. Teacher vocabulary in grammar pattern teaching. So teaching vocabulary in grammar pattern student already know. Learning good basic vocabulary speed up grammar learning. If the student build up of vocabulary, so they can learn the grammar easily, because the student will provide a lot of example that using the vocabulary. So if they build up a lot of vocabulary, so they can learn the grammar faster. If students have good vocabulary, it is easier for them to and teacher to understand and produce meaningful sentences in new target structure. Students can learn vocabulary without grammar, though through game, mind, translation, etc. But it is impossible to learn grammar without vocabulary. So in unit 3 you learn already. You you can teach grammar without you cannot teach grammar without vocabulary, but we can teach vocabulary without teaching grammar. Number 5. Students should get lots of comprehension practice with new grammar. So when you teach the new language item, you should allow your student to practice a lot in order to be sure that they understand the lesson. So you have to provide a lot of time and you have to set up a lot of activity for your student to practice the new grammar. Teachers should get students to do listening and reading with new grammar before asking to use sentences. So before you ask your student to use the sentences, you can teach them to listen and read. So they can, when they read, they will see the grammar item, the new grammar is used in the text, so they can reuse their own sentences. Number 6. Most of the techniques in the handbook for speaking, comprehension, writing can be used for grammar teaching. So in the handbook, most of techniques in handbook for speaking, comprehension, and writing can be used for grammar teaching. So especially in they can use the handbook to as the advantages of teaching grammar. You can use the techniques in, especially in the area of pathway. There are a lot of techniques for your student to practice, especially speaking, comprehension question, or writing. So there's a lot of activity in the textbook, especially you can use that to teach the student the new grammar. There are three ways the technique can be used for grammar practice. The teacher uses a list of sentences or phrases as a data. So in order to teach the new grammar, we can use the three way. There are two ways the technique can be used for practice, for grammar practice. The teacher uses a list of sentences or phrases as a data. The teacher chooses a simple text which focus on the target pattern. So when you teach, you can choose the simple text that contain the new grammar. The text must be simple, not complicated, so your student can understand the grammar pattern. Teacher put target pattern on the board as a guide for a technique. So you can write the pattern on the board, for example, a negative statement, a positive statement, a question statement. What is the pattern? What is the pattern of the positive statement? So you can write the pattern on the board and give some examples so your student will understand it easily. Grammar like question pattern, what should be first, what should be next, example of that. Number 7, students should use all four skills: listening, speaking, writing. Listening, reading, writing, and speaking to practice grammar. So teaching the new grammar, you do not just ask your student to practice only writing. You have to set the find the techniques or set the activity for your student to practice all the four skills. Like listening, you have to find the listening text that contain the grammar item, the new grammar, reading text, simple reading text, and you can ask your student to produce their own writing and speaking to practice the grammar. The teachers often uses mainly speaking and listening to practice grammar, but reading and writing techniques give students more control and more time to think. So in reading, writing, they have solo time to think and to create. Okay, number 8, using mostly declarative statement rather than interrogative statement helps students to learn new grammar faster. So here, when we teach the student new grammar, we try to use mostly in declarative statement rather than question. Declarative gives the basic pattern of the grammar item. Yes. So the first example, the first pattern that we need to show or to teach the student in order to teach the new grammar, we have to use the declarative statement, positive statement, so they can understand the pattern easily. Do not teach them all the four statement. Of example, you do not teach them the new grammar with declarative statement, with the question statement, with the negative statement. Only one they will be confused. So to be sure that we just uh, teach them one pattern only. Interrogative are difficult for students to make. So the most easy is declarative statement, positive statement. So if they understand the positive statement clearly, And then the next step, next day, you can teach them the new pattern, interrogative or question. Interrogative are not very common in English. Okay, number 9, meaningful practice is more important than presentation in learning and teaching grammar. As you know that learning or learning and teaching grammar or learning and teaching vocab is not far different. Teaching vocab also you need to let your student to practice a lot because your student need to practice, not only you just a presentation. Okay, meaningful practice is much more important than presentation in learning and teaching grammar. So in teaching grammar must be short in presentation and long in practice. Long in practice, short in presentation and short in closing. The most important step is practice. So your student need to practice the new language item, the new grammar. Practice and production are different of control. So you can ask your student to practice or produce the grammar, the new grammar item. By using different control, we can do less control techniques, less control techniques, or free control techniques. Most way of presenting new grammar confuses the student. So do not try to present too much. You will confuse your student. Ask your student to practice more. An efficient interaction procedure is a short presentation in L1 with lot of meaningful example. So try not to explain too much. Try not to present too much in L1 in English. L1 in English. L1 in the first language with lot of meaningful grammar example. So we have to provide an example. Here is a typical procedure. Give short, easy explanation in L1 at a level of student can follow easily. So if it is possible, you can explain the student in L1 in the student own language so they can understand the grammar point easily. Use a lot of example sentences on the board. So you have to write a lot of example on the board for your student. So your student can understand the grammar pattern. Compare and contrast the new English grammar item with how the same meaning is achieved in L1. So you can compare and contrast the different and the same grammar between in English and the student own language. Get some student to explain the class in L1 what the teacher said. So you can ask your student to explain the grammar point in L1 in their mother tongue, their own language. Now the class move on to the control and comprehension techniques such as 2-4 sentence concept Q. So after that, you can set the techniques, the control technique for your student to practice the grammar. You can use 2-4 sentences. You can write some sentences on the board. some for sentence, some two sentences for your student to practice. You can check your student understand the grammar point you are teaching or not. Issues about how to teach grammar. Okay, four primary issues characterize this and to improve professional discussion. Look at the four primary issues. 1. Should grammar be presented inductively or deductively? So there are two ways to present the grammar. The one way is inductive and the other way is deductive. Okay, please continue. Okay, grammar presentation can be in inductive way or deductive way. Inductive way means you provide them the example and ask them to form. You teach from specific to general. Inductive means from specific to general. You give them the specific example and ask them to find the pattern, the grammar pattern. And deductive, it means you teach them from general to specific. You give them the general form, the general pattern, and ask them to produce the specific example. This is the difference between inductive and deductive approach. Okay, these two approaches are often contrasted with each other when questioned about grammar. So two of these are contrasts. Inductive, you present the new grammar from specific to general, and deductive is the way to present the new grammar from general to specific. This is opposite. Okay, in most common inductive approach is more appropriate because it is more in keeping with with natural language acquisition, where the rules are absorbed subconsciously with little or no conscious. So, teaching with the inductive approach, so students can understand better than deductive approach because we give a specific example. In it comfort more easily to the concept of inter-language develop, in which a learner progress on variable timetable through stage of rule acquisition. It allows students to get communication feel for some aspect of language before possibly being overwhelmed by grammatical explanation. So when we teach them through the inductive approach, it is better for them to overcome the grammar point. And it's build more intrinsic motivation by allowing students to discover rules rather than being told them. So this is the student can understand better, can motivate students, and they understand what is the rule and what is the pattern. Okay, number 2. Should we use grammatical explanation and techniques terminology in CLT classroom? CLT means communicative language teaching. In CLT classes, the use of grammatical explanation and terminology must be approached with care. Clearly, adult learner can benefit from association explanation. So when teaching the grammars, adult can understand the grammar points better. Following a few simple rules of thumb will enhance many grammatical explanations. Okay, please move on. Okay, so here following a few simple rules of thumb will enhance grammatical explanation of undertake. Okay, one A is was it. Keep your explanation brief and simple, so do not try to explain too long. Try to explain in brief and simple, so it's easy for your student to understand. Use a mother tongue if a student can follow the explanation in English. So it's possible you can use the student own language if the student cannot catch up the English. Okay, usually grammar is taught by using the grammar teaching method, but in here we can also use the communicative CLT, communicative language teaching, to teach grammar as well. use chart and other visual whenever possible to graphically depict grammatical relationship. So you can use a table, you can use a chart, or you can use the timelines, and very possible. Illustrate with clear, ambiguous example. So your example must be clear, that easy to understand. Try to account for varying cognitive style among your students. Okay, you have to try to account variety of cognitive style among your students. Do not get yourself and student tied up in not our so-called exception to rule. So teaching grammar is a bit difficult. Grammar also always have exception. Do not try to focus too much on the exception. Okay, while teaching the grammars, while teaching the new grammars, the exception, if possible, you can cut down. Exception rule. If you do not know how to explain something, rather tell students you will research that point and bring the answer back the next day. If the point, some grammar point that you cannot explain your student well, you just keep, especially the exception rule. You can skip and tell your student that you will search more and you will tell them next day. Okay, for number 3, I will continue for the next video because this video is a little bit long. So next video you will see from me, you will study with me, you will learn with me from point number 3 to the end. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Okay, see me next video for the next point in chapter 4. Okay, thank you, bye bye.